Então é uma honra estar aqui. Eu quero dizer que para a galera da
For the people on the internet, it's really an honor to be here participating together with you. Quebrada is here, the periphery is here. We are occupying, we are taking our space all over the world. So it's an honor to paving the way today. Next to me is Monique. She's an entrepreneur, fighting woman. She plays an important role for all the young people, black people, and she is a role model. So we'll start our talk. The people sitting here, the people at home, the people here, when they want to make a question, they can up here and make the question directly to Monique. We have 40 minutes for our discussion. It's open. It's a real discussion, a talk, so everybody can engage, participate. Monique, it's a pleasure to be here with you for the first time. It's the first time, right? So please tell us a little bit about your work, what's the motivation, and why did you start it? Was it necessity? I know some of it, but not everybody does. I'm Monique Evelyn. Good afternoon. And what I learned with a lady called Lela Gonzalez and the Black ladies has to say their first name and their second name. If not, there is always a bad name. So I always present my name with a complete name. And it's good that we don't have too many people here right now, because so we can be more interactive. And it's good to be close to Bob. I didn't know about your work, but now we are getting to know each other, and then we are planning to do things together in São Paulo. That's how Desabafo works. We have to think about what happened yesterday. Who is about 20, 22 years? How old are you? 21. I'm older. I'm just 22 right now. When I was 16, I wanted to say what I felt, and the means is the mouse. Until making 16, I thought I was shy, because whenever I tried to, it didn't work. So I was the only black girl, and people didn't understand what was happening to me. So I was always repeating, trying to explain, and people say, no, it's not. So you get tired. People don't understand you. They don't get you. And then when I got at 16, I myself placed at this shy position through my action. Everybody told me that I'm a sure person, so I believed them. So I didn't say anything and remained quiet, hidden. And then suddenly I detected that this is not being shy, but that I was being silenced. It was good that it happened finally, so my voice is important. And when I start to speak, it's like a loudspeaker, and then I realized that I'm not alone, that other people are there together with me in the same boat. It didn't start on a blog online, no, it started on the street, talking to people, Saturdays during vacation. People thought I was crazy. This girl wants to talk about human rights, but I did it. So, as this is supposed to be interactive, what's your name? You. Oh, you're afraid. Marina, it's not so difficult. So, how would you speak to people on the street, outside? being 16 and talk about human rights. Don't think about it. Just say whatever comes to your mind. It's without microphone. Yes. She said she would try to include the story about human rights. It was our first attempt. It didn't work out really. So the first tool we have to get closer was rap, Racionais and MC. So they really swapped us from our feet. I didn't listen to rap, but we had in Salvador the pagode music. People that are not from Salvador, they think that it's Ashe music and things like that. But it's pagode, it's different. It's not Ashe music. It's different. So happy, pagode, and also funk. These were the three forms to get closer to people. I think someone said something. So we use the words from Racionais. We also use the soap operas, speaking about the last episode we saw on TV, or the black guy, the homosexual. And then I would say, no, that's not. And that's how I started to speak about human rights. This was from 16 till 18, and then I started my own blog, and it was like a personal venting of my emotions, pent up stuff, and this is the result. You can do something similar or do something different. Sometimes you have a page and you might like it, and sometimes you ask a friend to like it, but they don't do it, and you say, oh, this is a creative economy, and there are no likes, and then you place photos about your vacation, and there are lots of likes, and I was in deep crisis. I thought I'm the only one worried with this. So thinking about the football World Cup, what am I doing? This is not what I'm supposed to do. I'm at home, so let's do something useful outside on the street. So we made videos, and I started to think about things. So I'll talk about the last talk and also about the life crisis. When Hasionai speaks about blacks and gender, that this is not the same now, I understand. When we speak about social, you think that social and money is the same. It has to do with logistics. We live in a capitalist world. It might be conscientious or not, but you need money to do things. And I started a discussion about entrepreneurship because we had crises. Girl, 24 years, and you have to start early. And then you think, oh, I started with 18 and I'm still fighting. And 82% of the Afro descendants of the entrepreneurs, they start at the age of 18 or earlier. So there is no miraculous formula to be successful. It's a lot of myth, because some realities don't allow you to be happy in an easy way. Sometimes there comes someone and says, oh, you just have to innovate. Easy, you just innovate. You sit there and then you innovate. And you achieve an innovation, get an innovative product. And I ask, what's innovation? And they told me, oh, you create something new, but you have to register the thing. You have to show it to the companies as if the access to the sponsors was something easy, as if all the companies, institutions would like to invest in you and your things. Maybe it's unjust. unfair to tell Afro entrepreneurs that 51% of them got to the second phase. Yeah, to the second phase, or the middle school, and this is data from 2013. But it's about 10%. Now we have affirmative actions, but that's not fair. But what's even worse, you don't want to be rich. You have to fight, you have to study, or you have to save, you have to invest. I don't have money to save, to spare. I don't have even to live, to survive. So I thought, how can they tell me this kind of things if 72% of the Afro descendants in Brazilian get 1,000 reais working as in hair shops or whatever. And what we call entrepreneurship nowadays in the periphery of the towns, we call just surviving. And I said, well, we have to grasp this. If not, we will have several ideas, several projects, and they will die. And then people will say, it's over, it's ended, it stopped. We need transportation. You have to go to university, even if it's a public university, you have to take copies, and this gets expensive. I just graduated. It was difficult, but I did it last Wednesday, last class, and thanks God, and I was thinking about it. Environmental engineering, I started out, then politics, crazy, but there is a logic. We have to rationalize the discussion. The entrepreneur movement is not something homogeneous. I can't ask from my dad like 100,000 to invest in my in my ideas. I don't have it, I can't, maybe others do, but so we have to find a different way. One of the phrases, you probably heard it, when something is really bad, we say that it's black, the situation is black. That's what we say in Brazil. If it's the black market, if it's not legal, it's racial stuff. And if you say this is racist, then I'm being racist. And if you try to write it, if you try to paint it, it's difficult. But if the situation is black, I said, then it's good. So this became a music. It was huge in the internet, and we put it on t-shirts, and everybody wanted our t-shirts, and we created Comasi for black entrepreneurs. And so we were the target of reverse racism. This is also bad, really bad, because our role models are black. So why can't we use white models? You are being racist with the white peoples. If you can show me a shop where you have some kind of okay proportionality of the races, it's okay. If not, my shop will continue with black models, black people. And we don't question it, because right now in our society it's normal to have white people all over. How can we proceed in a pedagogic way talking about these questions? It's not an easy topic. We can't joke with stuff like races and gender. And we also think a lot about kids. You are 21, right? So what would you say to a kid 8 years old? I mean, a black boy, 8 years old, that he is 3 times more chances to be killed than a white boy. How do you explain this to a child? To an adult, you can say you're gonna die, but to a child, what do you do? But please, fast. Just say what comes to your mind, to your head. Brainstorming. You don't know. It's difficult. It is. We have no mic, so we have to wait. I think I would be direct with the child. If the child thought about it, you might have more chances to get hurt, really bad hurt, than others. And if you ever thought about it, you can, you will die easily than others. You can just say that like that. This was one of our crises. How can we talk with children about these things? Situation is good, situation is bad, situation is black. Let's think about other phrases, other examples for people that don't realize what's happening. Or thinking about machismo, sexism. I'll just mention the phrases, and sometimes I don't realize it, and then they send me a Twitter, and then one of them was abusive relationship. How can we identify an abusive relationship? Is this love? So we really have to make like an ABC. Don't do that. Don't do that. So we have to just start thinking. You all have Facebook, right? I don't have it. Just a joke. Afterwards, we'll talk about Facebook. Maybe in the Facebook is the first start for someone to discover something about a topic. So if you start connecting with me, you will see a lot about racial stuff. I don't want to talk to people that already know about the topic. I want to talk to people that aren't there yet. You have also now reverse racism, because we are explaining and explaining all over again, and they keep attacking you. And there are others where you just feel that they don't get it. They never thought about it. And you try to explain that you have to try to understand the other side of the coin, and then you reach your own conclusion. So this is our line. Things are good. They told me I was shy, but I really was silent. So you have to wake up. You have to start. You have to get informed. Someone who has a smartphone will automatically be in this talk with us, debating. We heard before in one of the talks about the apps on the internet, everything very pertinent. I use it, but there are challenges. Our glass is really full, maybe it's half full, but that's not the solution. We know that there are many people using social media, but we are forgetting about 90 million Brazilians that don't have access to internet. What happens to them? We just forget them? We are not included in the network. So sorry, that's Brazil. I go to Miami, and that's so sorry. Yeah, we need microphone for these guys. What do we do with the 90 million Brazilians that don't have access to the internet? They are abandoned. They are forgotten. They're lost.
Come on, speak it out. Well, I think that those who had an opportunity to have access should sensibilize themselves to see how important it is to get this knowledge and democratize this, to take it to there is it and take it out there. Because sincerely, I wouldn't know how to tell you or what to tell you, like how to give access to the internet to these people. But there are other more humane ways and more direct ways to bring knowledge and information, exercise, arts, culture, sports, whatever. To maybe yes, I like that. thanks. But it's also the territory of the other, and not everyone has this spirit of reaching to the other's territory, saying, "Excuse me, I just came here to collaborate." Because people, it's not like I know you don't know. I just came here. It's a symbolic violence. That's what Marina. See, I even remember her name, Marina, because people have that. Because I know a little, I try to preach. Well, I don't like much this. Paulo Freire, pedagogical, because this venting out of frustration has a project called in the group, in the circle, and in a circle I can observe everyone, and it's better to chat. Well, I don't mean to criticize the format here, because you're still looking at each other's face. But one of the solutions that we found for the 98 million Brazilians, but we do not have legs to reach all the territory of the country, is to publish. There is a tool that we use to publish on the internet without being connected. It's called Without Being Connected, sem estar conectado. Does anyone here know it? People, it's not magic, it's natural, normal. It's called Voge Brazil. Media Ética from Salvador brought this to Brazil. It was created by the MIT, and they tested it with Mexican immigrants, and it really worked. It's incredible. I thought, man, it doesn't exist. It doesn't work without being connected. How can this work? Well, people brought it to Brazil, and it works as a message box. Sort of when you call somebody and it's not available, you say, to record a message, dial 1. So, public telephone, we hardly see them nowadays, but that can be used. And Ed said 0800 is a free number. And how are you sure it can work? Because we used it in a former slave village, which we call quilombolas, and these people don't know nothing about internet. So, and when you mention Facebook to these people, they know nothing about that. They don't know anything. So I told them, look, this tool here, try this. You may make denunciations, you may talk, you may report anything. So we learned a lot from this former slave village, and what is most is that the orality of this community was valued. So the older people leave the community or they die, but they are able to leave a record through their reports, and all this content is downloaded into a data bank which you can now gain access. So that was a solution that we found for the 98 million people in Brazil that have no access to the internet. VOJO, that's VOJ. But that was one of the solutions that we found. But we have to scale this up, because we who have internet ourselves don't know about the existence of this tool. And it's been 2 years in Brazil already, and we were able to reach only a few. And slowly we are trying to spread into different territories. And the most interesting thing about VOJO is that a ship had an oil leak in the region. It was 1 week after the system, and we had several reports on the system, and that was how news broadcasters got to know about these environmental disasters. And just to wrap up about to talk about the symbolic violence, as Marina has mentioned, one of the things that we hear a lot is that we cannot make a shirt that costs 70 reais, so let's not invest in this because the black community does not consume or does not have money, or it doesn't make sense. And I said, what do you mean we do not consume? Buy? The people in favelas nowadays that generate or make the economy run in this country. It's not the elite in Brazil. It's not that 1%. It's the young people in the favelas that make the economy of this country run, that consume. In the Datafolha, it was published that we, the black youth of Brazil, consume 35 trillion. Only us, black youth, And if I see myself as a person that do not buy anything, Brazil will come to a standstill. And Brazil does not understand that the power is in our hands. Because we try, the more that we try, the people try to frame us as a alternative media, but when there is none of us to occupy the spaces, when he asked about is there any person for the favela here, we have to be there. We cannot simply occupy spaces, we have to make a difference while we are there. It wouldn't make no sense for me being here if it was not for transform or anything. But in this perspective, to occupy spaces such as this and others, to create different narratives and to connect different people, not necessarily in a debate, but the people that do not leave these, that do not understand my reality, but what I have to offer is this, and if you can help, great. And in terms of collaborative learning, I'd like to ask you, have you ever read the terms of use of Facebook? That which they claim that they're able to sell our data, that pictures that they post, to save and drafts, and many other things that you never noticed, but are there. When I did, I said, God, the people may talk about Rede Globo, the big broadcasters of Brazil, Rede Globo, SBT, monopolies, oligopolies, but we do not see internet as this way. We see internet as a democratic thing, is something of a public space for everyone, but just one company controls 3 social medias, another controls 5, and we cannot see that as a oligopoly. We do not see it that way. Although several other movements are showing this as a mine camp. But what can you do? Just complain? Because even when we know about this, we're not going to leave the biggest social network, because that is the space where we can create, exchange ideas, but we can also create new ideas and possibilities. We have created a social network called Ubuntu, and it means it's a soft open source, and these are for people that do not agree with several things. So we have to create different things, and we have created this different network in which we could criticize things that I thought, what can I, Monique, offer you, Marina? What can you, Marina, offer me, Monique? That's what it's all about. And that we created that in 10 December last year, which is the Human Rights Day, and we noticed that by the name, which is a Zulu name, and because of the gender and racial cut that we do, obviously we had more black women joining the network. So besides being a collaborative learning network, it became an affection network. So that's a fact. If you log on today, you will see a girl saying, I'm a 16-year-old, I've never heard anything about what you're talking about, empowerment. Is there anything so that I can understand? And several wonderful women will give them links. So it's an affection network. That's what we call it, the Ubuntu. And I hope that you're able to access it. And is sustainability only shirts? No. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up now. There's one thing. We believe that from the exchange of experiences, such as the one we're having today, people may leave their zone of comfort. Not necessarily they're going to stand up and say, I'm going to do something today. No, that's not. But people are going to lose their balance somehow and think about what can they do? What capabilities do I have that I can bring about some transformation? And we think that one of our lines of work has to be inspirational, based on exchanges. But it's not good just talking all the time if you not put our hands to the dough and do something in effect. What tools do you use to do that? So we have to share all the free tools that are out there to use. We share everything, how we did things, how we constructed things. We share this in our blog. So it has to be inspirational and functional. And there's one thing else. We have to, conscious capitalism cannot be an event of this cannot be attended by people that are fighting for their survival. So there is no way that you will see people like this attending such events. So the first thing we do is asking people, how much do you think our talk is worth? Well, I'll pay 1,000 reais, $300. What is fair for you and I, since this is my work, and since you need to pay something according to what you're able to. And from there on, from the answers of the people, we reach a value. So the outflow, the venting out has to be inspirational, has to be functional, and has to be accessible, affordable, always. And in this mix that I alone from a collectorate and thinking about sustainability have become an organization, and nowadays we are a social organization that based on new technologies of communication such as new technologies. That's a very including new technology that is lying outside the bubble. So we promote human rights in this perspective of gender and race through the formation, education, for content and consultancy. I started in the hood, on the streets, and is still there. So, but we have to touch the companies. We have to tell them, hey, hang there. Look, it's not as you're saying. Look at these numbers here. So we're working under this perspective. And one of the things that I've learned from Fernanda Cabral from the Imagina Você is that never compare your beginning with the middle point of anyone else. Because I am 22 today, I'm still living in the hood, and there are people from 12 years old and they're telling me, I want to be like you. And I tell them, listen, my dear, you're seeing at me now today. And as Monique, as I am here with you, chatting with you, but you do not understand all the process that I went through to be here today. And not as a message, but just to open the space for questions, as I hope it will happen. You will ask me lots of questions. When I speak about occupying spaces and creating new alternatives and connecting people, it is all about understanding that I have to leave a door open for somebody else to come in. And besides, I'd like to reinforce what the Racionais MC band spoke through their song, is that black people and money cannot be rivals. We cannot only see a merchandise with only black people, because it's always questionable. They will say, this black people has sold himself because he's participating. And there is something, unfortunately, still in Brazil, is that people, the non-black people, don't see themselves within gender and race. They say, I am not black, a black woman. So those who are not black, so they are excluding. When you say black woman or black entrepreneur, it's one thing's cancel the other out. I'm not saying that you are to be blamed for what is going on, but you have to see that this is a privilege that you have because of a cultural context, historical context. Is it possible to change? Yes, it is, but there is no such thing as a switching off and let's finish it today. We're not pessimistic, but I think that there is a potential for people to understand and see what is going on from both sides of the spectrum. So, did you understand, my dear? So how can we work together to finish with this? There's a lot of collaboration in this, and I am here open for your questions that I am sure you will ask. And thank you very much for the invitation, for being here. And let's start for questions and answers. We already have one question there. We are running out of time here. She apologizes because it's hard for her not to speak a lot. Well, but I promise I will answer later on if we do not have time here, in the corridors, wherever. Hello, my name is Marina. It's a pleasure for me for being here. It's a pleasure to listen to you. And I come here representing a non-governmental organization Brazilian women. We created with some women entrepreneurs, and we had as a goal to create a more egalitarian society. And the more I work, and the more I listen to the chats, the more I understand. If we see that a black woman, for a white woman, things are already difficult, I imagine that for a black woman is even worse. Uh, the only CEO in Brazil, uh, it's hard to get, and Pandora has a black CEO, but that's very, very rare. And so I think we are responsible for that. And I'd like to make an invitation for you to participate. We are creating with Ananda and Annelise a center here in Santa Catarina. That's a branch of our organization. And I'd like to leave an invitation for you to work with us. And we'd like the empowerment of black women to have more jobs and more visibility. And I think we're able to bring more money, and money brings power, and we are able to do away with all these stereotypes that we have. Thank you very much. I'd just like to leave the invitation. Well, that's like a public wedding. My answer is yes, I take your proposal. Anyone else? How's our time here? 2 more minutes, please.
I'm Beatriz. I work in Instituto Legado City Curitiba, empowerment, several causes. I have 2 questions. Did you ever think, and who is going to substitute you, let's say in 2 years' time? Who is going to do your work when you are doing something different? And what are your references? Who has inspired you? What I'm doing here, everything is going wrong, so succession, the follow-up. When I was 18, I realized that when you are 18, you are still young, and you think, oh, now it's over. I'm 18, I'm not young anymore. And then I thought, who is going to follow? It's Gabriel, Lauro, but they are more or less the same age. So what we are doing, I started on the streets, at the cinemas, with people participating. George, Victor, they inspire me. They are 13. They realize in 3 communities in Salvador the same activities. So you have kids and adolescents doing what I'm doing. And they get there and get the equipment, and I won't be able to do it, and they are able to do it. And so everybody can do it. You don't have to be in Salvador doing it. You can do it everywhere. Inspiration. There was a race in Salvador. She works in public defensorship, and the first time I had to speak in public before her, I was really terrified. She's one, Jamila Ribeiro. Many got to know her now. I got to know her 2013, and I thought, oh, what should I do with my life? I don't know, we be like this. And she said, no, come. And my parents were always very inspiring, because they always would tell me stories with black princesses, and when I was on a street fight, he stopped and said, he's doing this with you because he hasn't grasped yet that he is also black. And so when I stop and think about things, I see, oh, things are moving, things are changing, stuff happens, but everything might inspire you. There are many inspiring people out there. Last question from the other side. Yeah, we can use that mic. Are you fine? Are you okay? I have a question. I would like to know about What's your opinion? The situation of black handicapped women, because you have the double bias. What do you think? What could happen? What could we do? It's easy. We have no oppression hierarchy. I am black, a woman, and heterosexual. If you are lesbian, it's you are higher up in the hierarchy. All the oppressions are important. You might be a black woman, you might be a lesbian black woman, you might be a black handicapped woman, but there is no hierarchy. There are several oppressions. We can't fight one and forget the others. There are several feminist campaigns, several kinds of oppressions, each one with its specificities. We are women. Oh, let's just talk about women, but we might have a sister that's suffering due to questions that are not related to feminism. That's more or less what I would say. So you will have the double prejudice, the double bias. For example, I suffered double bias because you are handicapped and you're black. You're black and you're handicapped. So it's doubled. It's a lot of prejudice, a lot of bias just for one person. Yeah, society is cruel. Sometimes you might have the triple bias or prejudice. Yeah, he's doing the translation. So you have 3 oppressions, I have 2, and you living in this situation. So you should talk about the problem, because you can talk about it as a woman and a handicapped person, disabled person. So I don't know the reality of handicapped, disabled people. I can speak about the reality. I know the things I have lived through. So thank you, Monique. Thank you to everybody here in the auditorium participating and also in the internet. The talks is important. All the things we say and think, what's happening in our towns, in the periphery, and all the innovation usually is created so that the periphery can participate more. So we have to do more, especially for black women in the periphery. So that's our message. Maybe one last phrase. Everybody is hearing representativity, and we are repeating this word. I'm one black woman among 10, or one black speaker among I don't know how many. But here we have representativity, but the fight is to have proportionality. We have to have the right equilibrium. That's what we have to achieve. Thank you, people. Thank you, Monique. Please don't go away. In the same stage, the same arena, we have the talk about create a new future. This was great. Congratulations to SPG. Congratulations to Monique. And our fight continues.